Every civilization in human history developed laws, and every civilization developed punishments for breaking them. Some of those punishments were swift, some were proportional, and some were designed specifically to make you suffer for as long as humanly possible. What you are about to learn is not comfortable, but it is important. Because these punishments tell us something profound about the civilizations that created them. They tell us what those societies feared most, what they valued most, and how far human beings are willing to go when given absolute power over another person. These are the worst punishments ever devised by ancient civilizations, and the stories behind them are as disturbing as the punishments themselves. Scaphism, Ancient Persia, 401 BC. Ancient Persia. You are a soldier, captured near the Tigris River, expecting to be executed by sword. Then, you hear them mention boats. You laugh it off. You have no idea what is about to happen. They pour milk and honey down your throat, then place you inside a hollowed wooden boat, binding you in place with only your arms, legs, and head sticking through cut holes. They smear milk and honey across every inch of your exposed skin, carry you to a swamp, set you floating, and walk away. Within minutes, wasps, bees, and flies are drawn to the honey, stinging and biting without stopping. Every day, guards return and force more milk and honey down your throat, just enough to keep you alive, but not enough to make any of this bearable. The Greek historian Plutarch recorded one real case. A Persian soldier named Mithridates survived in the boat for 17 days. The Greeks called it scaphism, from a word meaning hollowed boat. And the sword he had been so afraid of at the beginning, it would have been a mercy. The breaking wheel. Medieval Europe. 16th century Germany. A market day, a crowd, a wooden platform, and in the center, a heavy wagon wheel lying flat on its side. They lay you across the wheel, tie your arms along the spokes, your legs along others. Then, the executioner walks up, holding an iron bar the length of a man's leg. The first blow comes down on your forearm. The sound you hear is your own bone snapping. None of these blows are meant to kill you. They are meant to destroy you, piece by piece, while leaving your vital organs untouched, so you stay awake for every single one. Then, he threads your shattered limbs through the spokes of the wheel, weaving your broken body into it, so your arms and legs bend in places that aren't joints. They hoist the wheel onto a tall pole in the town square, with you laced into it, visible to everyone, including the birds. There is one recorded case of a man surviving on the wheel for 9 days before he finally died. The breaking wheel was still being used in parts of Europe right into the 1800s. The last recorded execution was in Prussia in 1841. Lingqi, Imperial China. Imperial China. You have been convicted of a crime so serious that the law has decided you do not deserve to die in one piece. The executioner doesn't look angry. He looks focused, the way a craftsman looks focused, because for him, this is his craft. His job is to keep you alive and conscious for as long as possible, while removing you from yourself piece by piece. There was a tipping system. If your family had money, they could pay the executioner. The most expensive option was the one everyone wanted, the knife, straight to the heart, with the first cut. The practice was used in China from around the 10th century until 1905, when it was ended because of a camera. The photographs spread across Europe and America. The shock was enormous, and months later, the Qing government formally abolished Lingqi by imperial decree. Crucifixion, Ancient Rome. Ancient Rome, 70 AD. You are a slave who took part in a rebellion. It failed, and now a Roman magistrate has just written one word on the tablet in front of him. Before anything else, they flog you with an instrument called a flagrum. Not one strip of leather, but several weighted tails fitted with iron and bone, designed to weaken you before the real punishment begins. Most people imagine nails going through the palms, but the palms cannot support the weight of a human body. The tissues would tear. Instead, the nails are driven through the wrists. In this position, your arms are stretched out. Your body hangs, locking your chest in an expanded position. Breathing becomes a lot of work and a lot of pain. To exhale, you have to push up with your legs and feet. Every breath demands effort, and your body is already weakened. Eventually, you can no longer push yourself up, and you suffocate.
After the slave rebellion of Spartacus in 71 BC, the Roman general Crassus crucified 6,000 surviving rebels along the Appian Way. One cross stood roughly every 35 meters, all the way to Rome. Buried alive, ancient Rome. You are one of the Vestal Virgins, 6 women in all of Rome who tend the sacred flame of the goddess Vesta, a fire that is never, ever supposed to go out. You have been accused of breaking your vow. Whether you actually did it doesn't matter. The accusation is enough. Roman law says you cannot spill the blood of a Vestal, so they came up with a loophole. So chilling, it is almost impressive. Inside the underground chamber, they placed a couch, a small oil lamp, bread, water, milk, and oil. Technically, they aren't killing you. They are just leaving you in a room. You climb down the ladder. They pull it up after you. Then you hear the entrance being filled in above you. Earth on stone, then more earth, and the sounds fade. The lamp flickers. You watch it, because it is the only thing moving. You count your breaths, because there is nothing else to count. The air, you start to notice, is getting heavier. The most famous case is a senior priestess named Cornelia, condemned by the Emperor Domitian around 90 AD. The writer Pliny the Younger quietly noted that he thought she was innocent. The Blood Eagle. Viking Age. Viking Age Scandinavia. According to the Norse sagas, this was considered one of the most extreme acts of vengeance that could be carried out against a high-status enemy. For a long time, scholars dismissed the blood eagle as pure myth. There is no archaeological evidence, and the sagas were written down hundreds of years after the events. But in 2022, a team including medical experts looked at the anatomy of it. Their question was simple. Could you even physically do this to a human body? Their answer was surprising. Technically, yes, you could perform each step described. But the moment you open the chest cavity that way, the lungs collapse, and the victim is dead within seconds. The dramatic image at the heart of the legend isn't an exaggeration of something that happened. It is something that couldn't happen. Some kind of brutal, eagle-shaped mutilation may have happened at least once. And from that one act, a story grew, until it became what the History Channel teaches as real Viking history. Flaying, Assyrian Empire. 870 BC, the Assyrian Empire. You are a rebel leader. Your village refused to pay tribute to King Ashur-nasir-pal II. And now, the army has arrived. Ashur-nasir-pal's palace walls were covered in stone carvings of his campaigns and his treatment of enemies, with inscriptions stating plainly that he did it to terrify anyone thinking about resistance. Flaying is arguably the most psychologically terrifying method ever devised, because it explicitly targets the human body's largest and most sensitive sensory organ. If the executioner is too reckless, the victim will bleed out or go into shock too early, ruining the public spectacle. So they are precise, calculated, methodical. The harvested skin is immediately put to work, stretched across the city gates, or nailed to a pillar directly in front of your eyes. Every traveling merchant within 500 meters gets the message. Historians note that Ashur-nasir-pal's inscriptions describe these flayings in exactly the same tone as his descriptions of successful crop harvests. Clinical facts about how the king maintained order. The brazen bull, ancient Greece. Ancient Greece, 570 BC. A craftsman named Perilos approaches the tyrant Phalaris with a new invention, a life-sized bronze bull with a door on its side and a fire chamber beneath. You step inside. The door swings shut. You can hear the crowd outside, muffled. You can smell wood smoke beginning to drift up through the floor. The metal is still cool against your back. Then the warm becomes hot. Then the metal you are standing on isn't a floor anymore. It is a frying pan. And the walls around you aren't walls. They are an oven. You scream.
Ah!
And here is where the inventor added his special touch. A network of pipes connecting the inside to the bull's nostrils. So your screams come out sounding like an angry, snorting bull. When Perilos proudly demonstrated his invention, Phalaris told him to climb inside and show him exactly how the screams would sound. The very first victim of the brazen bull was the man who built it. And legend says, when Phalaris himself was finally overthrown, the people he had tyrannized executed him in the very same bull. The device killed its creator, and then it killed its owner. The philosophy of cruelty. 8 civilizations.
8 civilizations. 8 different answers to the question of how to punish. And every single one tells us something about the people who designed it. Persia used nature itself as the instrument. Medieval Europe used public spectacle. Imperial China used precision. Ancient Rome used engineering. What connects all of them is not cruelty. What connects them is power, and the need to demonstrate that power to anyone who might consider challenging it. The most disturbing thing about every punishment on this list is not the punishment itself. It is how carefully, how methodically, how intelligently they were designed. Someone thought about this carefully. Someone asked the question, how do we make this last longer? How do we make this more visible? And then worked out the answer. That is the part that should sit with you, not the acts themselves, but the cold problem-solving behind them, and what it reveals about what human beings are capable of designing once they let themselves. Every one of these punishments was once considered the legitimate response of an ordered society to those who threatened it. That should tell you something about the relationship between civilization and cruelty. They have never been as far apart as we would like to believe.